I'm Katie Stoddard, and I run a marketing agency called Ed to Market. And at Ed to Market, we serve companies in the education space, so companies who are selling products and services to schools and school districts. But the messaging today, we're really going to dig into email marketing, and this makes sense for all brands, whether you B2C, B2B, sell products, sell services. We're just going to talk about what makes for good email marketing. And so a little bit about me. I've spent most of my career in education marketing. I've worked for publishers, for professional development companies, all in this education space, partially because I started as a classroom teacher, and it's really what I knew. And so I've been in this field for about 20 years. I launched my company coming up on 4 years ago, and so I'm excited to talk about what makes email and kind of how email plays a part in an overall marketing strategy in general. So today what we're going to cover, we're going to talk all things email marketing. And so the role of email marketing in your company, your business, yourself as a brand, types of email marketing and why you would use different emails at different times, email marketing best practices, and then how to source high-quality leads. How are you building the lists that make sense for your email marketing campaigns? We'll talk about tools, we'll talk about types of campaigns, how you can actually come up with content for those campaigns, and we're really going to dig top level at all of this stuff. I've also got some downloadable tools. I have QR codes in here and website links, so you'll get all that too. So first of all, show of hands, how many of you are using email marketing in your current marketing strategy? All right, so half or so, maybe a little bit less than half. So one of the things, and one of the reasons we work with brands and individuals who aren't using email is because email gets a bad reputation. How many of you are a little bit nervous about using email as part of your marketing strategy? The truth is, as consumers, a lot of us hate emails, and rightly so. And so whenever I'm talking to brands about this, is just think about yourself as a consumer and what you hate about emails and make sure that you are not replicating that. One thing, brands send too many emails. Like the other day, I saw this ad for these sunglasses. I loved them. And I was like, I'm going to put my email in here to get the 40% off coupon that they're talking about. And within hours, I had like 7 emails from this brand. Like, that is not okay. And honestly, it kind of soured me to that brand, and I still have not ordered those sunglasses yet. When brands are pushy, especially we see this a lot in B2B, when they try to get in our inbox and they're really kind of pushing, we can get you X amount of leads, or things like that. Spammy, obviously we don't want to deal with spam emails. Make over-the-top promises, like we can triple your revenue for you this year, and you don't even know anything about my company or what I do. Inaccurate, not personalized, or my favorite is when I get emails and it's like, oh, you're in Denver? Like, I love the Broncos, and then go right into your sales pitch. And it's like, what does that mean? You just Googled one thing about Denver. And so when you make assumptions about me and my business that I need more leads right now, I mean, obviously a lot of us do, or that, what I'm doing isn't working, or, things like that. That comes across a lot of times in cold emails. And then my least favorite is when I haven't responded to you for 5 or 6 emails, and then you're going to insult me by saying, oh, I guess you don't want your business to grow right now. And it's like, come on. So these are the things that we're not going to do and that don't work when it comes to email marketing. So one of the things, though, that we do want to talk about email marketing is that it really works. And it's one of the easiest channels, and we'll talk about it. It's easy, it's affordable, it's simple, it's quick. And if you do it right, it really can work. And so a couple of things just to note. 64% of small businesses use email marketing. So that's a really over half, and that's a good percentage, and they're using it to reach customers. We also see that 67% of consumers want to see personalized content, and they're actually annoyed if you don't personalize their content. And email is one of the easiest ways to personalize content. It takes some work, and you need to get to know your segments and your audiences, but you can personalize. And so, again, we work in the education space, so what we do a lot of the times with personalized emails is things like we're talking about their district. We talk about initiatives that are happening within that state. We're solving the problems for them, or talking about how their products solve problems that they're dealing with in their states and districts. And it takes some work, and a lot of that can be conditionalized, but it really makes an impact when you're willing to take that step and learn about those segments. 64% of B2B marketers say that email was effective for meeting business goals in 2021, and this is a HubSpot survey, and HubSpot as a brand, as a marketer that we definitely trust. So when we think about marketing, and it was so great to hear Marjorie a little while ago talking about messaging and positioning and things like that, email marketing is really, again, just one piece of that multi-channel puzzle. We think about marketing as kind of this pie, and that you're not going to do everything in this pie. It doesn't make sense, and if you are, you're probably stretching yourself way too thin. Maybe if you're Coca-Cola or you're Google, you're doing more here, obviously. But if you're a small business, you want to really think about the channels that make sense for you and where you're going to meet your audiences. And so email is one that when we work with small businesses, we talk about all the time because, again, it's affordable, it's easy, you can really implement it in days if you're really willing to put some work in, and there's lots of ways to do it well. But when we think about email marketing, we also think about how we can leverage content marketing, because email should be a way to share your expertise and your credibility. So maybe you're sharing podcast interviews or blogs or great downloadables that you've created. Maybe it's aligned to your website and you're driving people again to that high quality content to really leverage who you are and that brand credibility. And so as you think about your marketing plan, I would encourage anyone that email shouldn't be a standalone thing. It should really just be a piece of what that plan is. And so what role does email marketing play? So first of all, it's one of the fastest and most effective ways to reach your audience. We will talk about how you build the audience, how you can purchase, not always ideal, how you can build it organically, and how you probably have a lot of it already that you just need to kind of start piecing together. It drives awareness of your brand products and services, great line of communication with existing customers, also past customers. Email is always a great way to kind of get back in front of past customers, share what you're doing, kind of keep top of mind for them. And then generates leads and nurtures folks who aren't quite ready to purchase, but have some kind of, excitement or engagement with your brand or the types of products that you sell, and might be those future customers. And so, again, it goes back to if you think about you downloaded a piece of content as a consumer, or me in this sunglass example, I'm not quite ready, and again, this brand sort of annoyed me, but I'm not quite ready, but maybe in 6 months I'll be ready, or maybe, in 6 months you're ready to take the plunge on a service, or, whatever it is, because you've built a little bit of loyalty, you've built a little trust with that brand. And so think about email marketing as kind of that journey for folks to learn about you and your brand. So when we think about emails, we always think about kind of types of emails and what's the purpose of that campaign. And so a couple examples, promotional. That's just, every day you're trying to kind of push out some piece of, some kind of promotional offer. Maybe it's driving people to a webinar or attending an event or, purchasing a book or a service or, something like that. Very sales focused in nature, but there's a time and place for promotional emails. Newsletters, we love newsletters at Ed2Market, our agency. We work with clients all the time in building, newsletters for their prospects, newsletters for customers. They can be the same, they can be different. Really just depends what your product or service is. But it's a really great way to kind of stay, again, top of mind, share some content, share what's going on with your business, and just kind of, be in their inbox on a regular basis. Lead nurtures, and so that's when someone's kind of joined your email list. So again, you sign up for something. Maybe it's like a downloadable or access to a great video or something like that. But then you want to nurture them to eventually work with you or eventually purchase whatever it is. And so it's kind of like pushing them through this journey so they can understand the work that you do and understand your content even greater. surveys, welcome emails. Again, when someone's new to your list or you've attended an event and they share the email list, you might do a welcome to people who saw you speak. Dedicated emails are when it's very product specific or dedicated to a certain service. Re-engagement, again, is when you're trying to re-engage a past customer and get them excited about your work again. And then transactional are those emails that happen after you've purchased something. So you've registered, you've purchased a book, something along those lines. And so it's not necessarily a marketing email, but it's something, to acknowledge that purchase happened. So a couple best practices when it comes to emails. And I will share this. A lot of this is on our website. And then, like I mentioned, I'm going to share 2 downloadable tools so you can actually start creating an email campaign and even a lead nurture journey. And we have some tools for that. But when it comes to email, and again, I would say the biggest thing, and it's not even on this list, the biggest thing is just think of yourself as that consumer. Think of those brands that annoy you or you delete their emails before they even hit your, or as they hit your inbox before you open it. But then think of those emails that you always open and read, even if you aren't a customer, even if you're just interested in that content. So really reflect on what works for you and what doesn't work, and ensure that you're trying to replicate that. And so first of all, make it as personal as you can. Again, try to connect to those segments. Sometimes that means if you're sending an email, the messaging has to be different for different audiences. For us, we work in education, like I've said, and so the emails that we send to teachers are very different than the emails that we send to district level administrators. Teachers have different day-to-day problems than admins do. And so we're really, and even the language that we use, the way we talk to teachers is very different. And so think about your audiences that way as well. Use strong subject lines and strong preview text. That's that text that appears right before, right after the subject line in kind of your menu. Subject lines should be short, they should be to the point, they should avoid spam words and like kind of spam filter words, which you can Google lists of those. Things like free or things along those lines you don't want to use is what I mean. Have a strong call to action. We, as an agency, we work with so many brands who we do audits. It's kind of the first thing that we'll do when we're working with a brand. And we'll be looking at their emails, and it's like, wait, you don't have any links in your email? There's no button, there's nothing. So it's like people might be opening, but nothing's happening because you're not driving them to anything. And so make sure you have that call to action, that every campaign you send, there's actually an action that you want someone to take, whether it's check out your website, read a blog, register for a webinar. Keep your branding consistent across everything that you're doing, definitely within your email. Utilize A/B testing, and so that is where you're thinking about, with your emails, like what can you test to see how your audience is reacting to your content. So a lot of times with brands, we'll see them test 2 different subject lines, or we'll test 2 different calls to action, or 2 different pieces of content, or something like that. And then you can evaluate, if you send half the list one subject line and half the list the other subject line, what's getting a little bit more open rates and what's getting people to engage a little bit more. And so you're looking at that data after the fact, and you can start saying like, hey, this style of subject line makes more sense for my audience than this one. Ensure responsiveness across devices. We hate when you get emails and you can't even open it or read it well on your mobile phone. So make sure that your images are rendering, text is rendering like it should, and every major mail program will have that easily built into it. Be strategic with your deployment days and times. Like for example, when we're sending a teacher email, we don't send it at 8 a.m. And so, and that's, you'll need to kind of dig in for your industry, but again, think as the consumer, like when do you read emails most of the time? And again, we know it can sit in your inbox. It doesn't have to be opened the moment it's sent. But also think about, I wake up every morning and I go through and just delete all my emails that aren't critical. And so maybe you don't want to be sending them first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening. because you don't want people to delete. Maybe middle of the day is better. And so do some testing with your own audiences and always, always monitor your performance. And so pay attention to what's happening. All the major email platforms will have the tools to make that available. And so if you're small enough, who is opening, which clients are looking, which prospects are looking at your content, and just be aware of that and help it drive your future campaigns. All right, so again, kind of the 4 big things, and the reason that I wanted to talk about email marketing today: it is affordable, it is simple, it is quick, and it is measurable. And as a marketer, if you say to me, I can only handle one channel right now, then to me it would be email, alongside good content, but email. And so this is so easy to reach people and to continue to engage those audiences, and really easy to get started. So a couple of tools. These I have a QR code in like 3 slides. I will share them to you, or share that with you. But the first thing is this email marketing brief. And this brief really is just going to help you kind of outline the perfect email. And so it's going to help you identify what's the purpose, who's the target audience, what's the call to action, the content, all of it. And it'll we've written it in a way to give you those questions, and we've included some examples in here. So you can start thinking about what email matters for your audience. This is an editable PDF, so you can type right into it. We also have this idea of this email journey that I talked about just a moment ago. And the email journey, we've created a nurture map for you. So again, thinking about when people come onto your list, whatever way they join your list, if it's post-event, if you've networked and added someone to your list, if you've purchased a list, or if someone signed up for something on your website, then we want to nurture them with really good content until they take an action. And so we love nurture journeys. You've probably, again, as consumers, seen these. Maybe some of you are doing this in your marketing programs as well. And it's where, again, you sign up for that list and then you see an email, ideally like once a week, maybe once every 4 or 5 days, not 7 times a day kind of thing. But the idea that you're kind of sharing content as you go and really nurturing people along the way until they're ready to make a decision. So the way that I like to do this, here's an example of what this could look like, is like my first email is, hey, check out this blog post. And then I might send it a couple days later with the exact same email with a new subject line to people who didn't open it. Email 2, watch a webinar. Again, 2B, same thing to like a few days later to people who just didn't open it with a new subject line. That way we can capture more people in sort of a round 2. Don't send it to the same, make sure you segment that and don't send it to openers. And kind of keep going through this journey. And then if someone takes a sales action, like if they book a call with you or purchase something, remove them from your journey. And so ensure that your systems are set up for you to be looking at that. A lot of these tools, like if they click somewhere or if they convert through a page on your site or something like that, they'll automatically get removed from the journey. So just ensure your systems are set up or that you have the manual checks in place, because you don't want to keep nurturing for people who've already bought. So here's the QR code or the link. And then really the last piece of the email puzzle, I'll give everyone another minute here, or another couple seconds, is the tools and the list. The list is the most critical, but the tools, there's so many out there. They're very easy to use. When we are working with clients who are brand new to email marketing, I tend to really like MailChimp or Constant Contact. They have good features, but they also have really simple plans if you don't need those features yet. As an agency or larger companies, HubSpot is really a favorite, but it doesn't make sense for someone just launching into email marketing. There's probably dozens more. These are just more common, and they have more integrations. So if you have CRM systems already built or your website, a lot of the times will integrate with some of these common products. Most of them have free versions or at least free trials, and a lot of them are like $20 a month. So definitely check those out. And then building a high quality list, because this is the question we always get. And this is something that you will definitely spend some time on. And there's kind of 4 things that I think about. And this is really going to wrap us up for today. But there's 4 things that you can do right now to think about your list. One is like dig through your email and get every single contact. If you don't have a list already, just start anyone who's ever reached out to you. If you've attended an event or spoken at an event and made a contact, or you've gotten the attendee list or something like that, just start pulling them all together in a Google Sheet. You can also have like a VA do this, just start forwarding them emails, and make it very simple. In the beginning, it's going to feel like a lot, but this is going to be the best way because you probably actually have hundreds of contacts in your email already, and you just need to pull them into an actual list. Second, you absolutely, if you have a website, you should have a form fill on your website, okay? Whether it's a join my newsletter, a pop-up to stay in contact, anything like that, you want to have that form fill on your website. And as you're thinking about email marketing, you're gonna start thinking about like, how can I capture more emails? And so you shouldn't gate every single piece of content you create, but that high quality stuff, like put it behind a wall and make people give you their emails, because you want to engage with them. Also give them a reason for it. So again, it could be that higher level download. You can just share that you're gonna send monthly tips, things like that. There's a podcast I listen to. It's the Ramit Sethi. Did anyone watch his Netflix show, the I Will Teach You to Be Rich one? He does such a good job on his podcast. By every single week, he previews what's gonna be in his email newsletter. But he's like, the only way to get it is to sign up for my newsletter. And so it's like enough, of a clickbait of interesting content that you go and want to sign up. So, all right, partnerships. So this is where you can join with other industry thought leaders, thought starters to garner those warm, engaged leads. Another thing to do, and we do this in the education space, so we're an agency, but we partner with list brokers, so we'll partner with other people who are serving education companies, and we'll just do a list share. Or we'll say, we'll send an email on your behalf if you send one on ours. And so, think about people who are in your same space or reaching the same or very similar market, but aren't competing with you, and see if there's a way to kind of share lists, to do, place some kind of great piece of content that, again, is going to have people form fill for you. And think about those ways that you can capture more leads. And then last, list brokers. And I put this on the bottom on purpose because I think there's lots and lots of poor quality lists out there. And buying a list is never my, top choice. For an industry like ours, education, it's a little bit different because there's high quality list brokers out there who sell really high quality lists. But even with that, we treat it very softly. We don't spend a lot of time there. We segment. We're very specific about it. So if we're working with a client, we might say, all right, let's buy just principals in Colorado in public schools and test out some messaging or, something like that. So just be cautious there. That's definitely my least favorite option. If you come across a high quality, reputable broker and it's a list that you want access to, just try to test out a small amount of it or a small segment of it before you invest hundreds or thousands of dollars into it, and they should let you test it. But again, I think the top 3 is where I'd focus, and really, I think the biggest thing to keep in mind here is from today forward, how can you build that list a little bit better? And how can your content, expertise drive that list building even more? So that's that. So you can reach me here, Katie at edtomarket.com, edtomarket.com. Again, we're a marketing agency for education companies, but we have lots of tools that are just good for small business marketing. So encourage you to check it out. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions or didn't get those tools, just shoot me an email and I will send them over to you. Thank you.